Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome to another episode of the Day After podcast. And, we thought we were going to get a win, but it was only a draw in the end against Brentford. I was there with Charlie, obviously. But Nina and Father, you were there as well. You struggled getting home, though, Father. You had a bit of a tough journey. Did you have to get an Uber as well?
No.
You managed to get a train. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nina, you weren't that. Nina, honestly, I could have helped you as well. Absolutely gutted. I was just speaking to Charlie beforehand. So basically, I was told that I could have 2 tickets for the game. So I went with Cam, and then I was given an envelope 5 minutes before kickoff with.
Was it a brown one?
No, just from the ticket collection, and it had 4 tickets in it, and I was like, ugh. I called 2 of my friends that were living, like they lived locally, and I was like, do you guys want to come? And they couldn't make it, so we basically just had 2 spares that I couldn't get rid of.
Well, it's okay. I forgive you.
Were you working anyway, or?
No, I've been MIA this week because I got my wisdom tooth out, so that's why I'm funny.
Oh my god!
I don't recommend. It's been horrible, but yeah, I still like this side is like kind of paralyzed, so I'm talking a bit funny.
How do you feel after it? That's quite a big deal.
Yes, I don't know. Really, really painful. I think probably like the most painful experience ever.
Why did you have it out?
Because they're impacted. So if they get impacted, you have to get them taken out because then they cause loads of issues in your mouth. So yeah, but anyways, don't want to bore you. But yeah, it's been
that was pretty boring.
journey.
All right, let's talk about the game, Nina. I
Mhm.
presume you watched it.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So, what's your take?
Yeah, I watched it with my dad and my brother, and I think like from the get-go, seeing the lineup, I thought we were all a bit surprised. But then I thought it's a little bit sensible actually from Maresca because there's a lot of players that have a few niggles. There's a lot of players that have played a lot in their international teams. There's players that have been running into the ground with loads of minutes, short turnarounds to prepare and train and get back to Chelsea. So I thought, with Wednesday's game in mind, it's not so bad. And we know that we have a decent squad. We know that we do have depth. There's players there that have enough quality to beat a side like Brentford. And actually, in hindsight, if you don't concede as cheaply as you do, the lineup's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, so I think defence as a whole has been a problem for me since the start. I think we saw some frailties yesterday, which we'll probably get into. But yeah, in the end, really frustrating to not win that game. But actually, from a Brentford perspective, they probably would have felt that they actually deserved that point in the end. But yeah, it's just really annoying because, when you get outclassed by your opponent and you lose, you can say, all right. But when you kind of it's your own fault, I think it's a little bit, it hurts a little bit more. It's a little bit more frustrating. So yeah, really, really poor because at the end that could have been a really good kind of stadium winner.
Yeah, I was saying to Charlie after, like, we've seen a lot worse, but still, you're still disappointed. And I mean, you said after the game, Charlie, that it felt like a loss.
Well, no, it did, because like when you're so close to winning and then you throw it away at the end, it does almost feel like you've lost. But yeah, I'll probably at half time, mate, I would have absolutely taken a point given how woeful the first half was. Would have had the draw at half time. I'll be honest, mate, I probably would have taken the draw before the game as well. I know that might sound a bit defeatist to some people, but I would have taken the draw before the game. International break, coming back off that, injury issues, a lot of players with long distance, slightly rotated lineup, Champions League game on a Wednesday. I probably would have taken a draw there given our record at the ground as well. But when you get so close, it's majorly disappointing. And that, for me, that 6 minutes at the end, that sums up why this team will not win the title this season or probably won't challenge for enough of the season, because when you're in those positions, you have to see those games out. And I think our lack of experience really told in those final few minutes. You need, when you're in those positions, you've got to slow a game down. You've got to make it difficult. You've got to make it nasty. You've got to take the sting out of the game. Fouls, slow, take time on stuff. We didn't do that. It was a really poor game management. And yeah, you can say that, the defending from the long throw was poor, and it was poor. But just the game management in general in those last 6 minutes was just not good enough, and that really sums up why we probably aren't going to challenge this season.
Like when we talk about game management, just to be specific, you're just talking about the fact that we couldn't hold on to the lead, but in terms of what Maresca actually did and the changes that he made.
Oh yeah, I don't mean the manager's subs. Yeah, I don't mean the manager's subs or anything like that. I'm purely referring to that final bit of the game once we went 2-1 up. The actual lineup itself, I don't think anyone can sit here and say they were surprised that there were changes. There was always going to be changes in this game, with the Bayern Munich game, with 4 games in however many days it is, 4 games in 10 days, I think, coming up in 3 different competitions. There's always going to be changes. Didn't have any issue with Jarrell Hato coming in at left back. Correa needs break. Didn't have an issue with Gittins starting. He was going to start over Garnacho, let's be honest, given he's been here longer. Buonanotte was a little bit of a surprise in the 10, but I guess with Palmer not maybe fully fit and half an eye on the Champions League, you can understand why that happened. The only one that I was a bit confused about was why Wesley Fofana started at right back. I understand James being on the bench after playing twice for England, but Gusto as well. Well, that was the only one that I was a little bit unsure of. But other than that, I didn't have any complaints with the lineup particularly. The setup, the actual setup in general in terms of tactical setup, I think that was all right. It's just a lack of quality. I think we have to be honest. It was a lack of quality on the pitch in that first half. And you notice as soon as our top players came on, that made such a difference. And that, I know it's one game, but that for me is a little bit of a worry, is that I don't think our squad depth is perhaps as good as a lot of us thought it was. For me personally, I think the only area we've actually got proper depth in is midfield.
I mean, I do think that, I think that it was good seeing Garnacho coming on. I was glad Hato started. Like, I didn't have a problem with that. I'm with you. I was shocked about Fofana. I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of Fofana. But
I wasn't shocked he started, though. It was more the fact that he started at right back.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had as much of an issue if he'd have played in the middle. But I guess this is also one of the other problems that some people have had, and we seem to change our back line consistently. I mean, Father, how many different back lines have we had this season? You don't have to answer the question, but there's so many times where you've had James in there, or Gusto in there, or Chalobah, or Tosin, or Colwell at times. This isn't something that's just happened this season. We've always sort of chopped and changed. And I'm not sitting here saying every single position, but if you don't have a set back line throughout the whole season, then it is hard for players to have that chemistry. But even taken away from that, I mean, I personally think that it's debatable. The first goal that Brentford scored, I don't actually think Tosin had a terrible game. I think Tosin was all right. I do think that he could have done slightly better with the first goal.
Slightly better.
Yeah, well, but
it was woeful.
It was easy.
It was pathetic defending. It was crap. Let's just say how it is. He didn't have a bad game overall.
It was one-on-one against. It was one-on-one.
2 games in a row now. Fulham, Josh King, exactly the same thing. Doesn't get tight to him, just jockeys him, allows him to come inside, finish. Exactly the same again today. Yesterday, sorry. It's poor. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but his 1v1 defending, I'm sorry, is leaving a lot to be desired. That was crap.
I would just say this. Listen, I think that it was a good goal from Brentford, mate. If I'm totally honest, I think it was a good goal. And there's certain goals where you go, what are we doing? And there's other goals where you go, fair enough. And for me, it was a bit of both. What's that, Father?
I slightly disagree, because that first goal from that Shades goal, it came from Fofana. It's completely out of position. He was completely out of position. He was bombing forward, and then you just leave the space open.
I mean, it was on the right-hand side, to be fair, so that inside right. So, I mean, there's an argument to be had there. But, I mean, he is a right-back. I don't know what Maresca's asking him to do. But
I would have been more concerned with the fact that, look, Chalobah's high up the pitch, right? So Chalobah is high up the pitch, and the ball comes over the top. But when the ball's played, Fofana is level with Sharda on the halfway line. And then when it gets to sort of the edge of the box, he's nowhere to be seen. Now, I get he's a bit rusty, so he's not fully fit, but like he looked like he didn't really know how to run.
Well,
You know,
I guess that goes back to Tosin, right? So why would Tosin be criticised? I mean, again, it could have blocked it, I agree, but...
No, it's not even about the blocking. It's just like, it's really poor 1v1 defending. This, for me, is not difficult to understand. This is very clear. The 1v1 defending from Tosin was shocking. It was terrible. You think
you should show him onto the outside?
Yeah, show him down the line. Get tight to him. Don't stand off him. Don't just allow him to cut in and do the same thing that you allowed Josh King to do. It's 2 instances in 2 consecutive games now where Tosin's 1v1 defending has been crap. It's as simple as that for me.
Nina, what's your take?
I was going to say, I don't think any of our current defenders are that, I mean, centre-back specifically talking, are that great on one-on-one defending, personally. I think you can pick out a lot of games where there's always an individual at the back that just either doesn't track back in time, or like even Fofana tracking back yesterday, someone said it looks like he's running through mud. Well, that is really kind of what it looks like. And I know he's rusty and I know he's just coming back, but I think it's just concerning that we still don't have much stability, like you say, Alex, in what defensive lineup we go for. Like, it is always different. It is always changing. Like Trevor Chalobah as well. There was some really, really like small errors that could have led to bigger errors there. So I don't know. How do you kind of go up against, again, like if we're talking about our position and our ambitions in the Premier League this season, like how do you go up against these teams that, yeah, they do also have defensive frailties, like, you know, we've seen from Liverpool as well, but there is still a consistent kind of back line that those teams are picking, and we're still working it out. So yeah, it is a little bit concerning. And I know we want to play our open games. We want to play against the teams that will give us an open game. But then what happens if those teams get in, or those teams get, you know, hit us on a counter? Or like we saw yesterday, a one ball from Henderson over the top. All it takes, it's that easy. A player comes in, if you're on target, if you're clinical, you're scoring a goal. And how many more of those opportunities are teams going to get against us this season? I reckon there will be quite a lot if we continue in this manner. But yeah, no, I mean, I said from the start, Alex, we kind of talked about it game one, that I said, I thought we do need some sort of reinforcement at the back. And with the amount of injuries that we have, with the amount of changes in and out, it's not really the stability you want in your back line, particularly. And again, sorry to bring it up, but you know, we've got Robert Sanchez here for the whole season. I know he was good yesterday. He had some decent interventions, good saves, but guys, let's all agree, distribution was so poor again from Sanchez yesterday. So I'm sorry if we have to really talk about, like, he's good, he does the right things, but it's moments like I can pick out where we're hitting a team on a break, he's distributing out and he's giving it straight away to a Brentford player. It's like, come on, mate, these are the chances that playing against a team like Brentford, or teams that will sit back at us, those chances sometimes are going to be the chances of you going away with 3 points and nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually hitting our team on a break and going for it, because we've got the players going forward to do that. We've got pacey players. We can be quick on the break. We've seen that over summer, but we've got opportunities like that where we can't really play quickly out the back, or we're making stupid errors like that. It's going to be costly.
You don't put that down to, sorry, Charlie, you don't put that down to a tactical tweak. You just think that, you know, because we did go long quite a lot in that game. I mean, Jacob said after it was like watching Sean Dyche's team. I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but so you don't think that was intentional? You just think it was because our distribution was so poor, we were basically, well, that was where the ball was going. It wasn't going to any individual.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I do think so. I don't know. It just seemed, it was very slow. It wasn't, you know, the moments where we had to be really quick and we had to pull string passes together to kind of push up into Brentford's half. Those moments were really difficult for us. And then every time we kind of did get to those sort of final third positions, we just really couldn't form our chemistry. Like, there were chances, there were half chances. I think most stand out, even at the start. If you guys remember, there was a really good moment where we had about 4 or 5 really quick passes in the box, and then I think Buonanotte decided to pass instead of going for a shot that potentially could have been a goal. I think he overthought it there, but yeah, I don't know. Yesterday was tough because I think, making the amount of changes you do, you're bound to disrupt some of the chemistry that we have formed in the last games. That's not necessarily a problem, though, because these players need to get minutes at some point. We need to see what they're about, and I still think they've got enough quality there. But I just think a handful of those players like Gittins, even Hatto, they just seemed outplaced to me yesterday. I think they just really, really seemed outplaced, made more wrong decisions than right, quite easily dispossessed. And I know, Buonanotte, I'm not going to judge off one game. I thought he had some good promising signs there. But again, you're throwing in a player that's just starting. So it's going to present some challenges. But I even still think it should have been better results-wise than what it was, even with this rotation.
So it was only 4 changes, by the way. Like, we talk about rotation and like
the players that haven't played, though, right?
Oh, sure, but you have to use the squad. Like this idea, people think we're going to play the best team every single game. It's not happening. We're not going to play our best team 2 games in a row. It's not happening. So this rotation is going to happen, and what it's showing is that some of these players are nowhere near ready right now, and secondly, likely as well, some of these guys just aren't good enough. And I think that's what we're going to find out. Look, I think a lot of the business was good in the summer. Don't get me wrong, but when you look at the teams we're trying to close the gap to, and you look at our options in the squad compared to, I know Arsenal haven't won anything or whatever. But when you look at the options that Arsenal have got now, with the likes of Eze and whatnot to come on to change games, rotate. You're not starting Declan Rice. You put in a Zubimendi or whatever. You're not starting. I don't know if it's not starting. You put Eze in. Things like that, right? Arsenal's depth and quality in depth is better than ours. So is Man City's. So is Liverpool's to a certain extent as well. So you look at the players we've got. Yes, good players, by the way, but no proven articles. For me, I would argue that the only players that have actually improved this team that have come in terms of starting 11, the only ones that are improving it are Joao Pedro improves the starting 11, and I would say that Esteval probably does as well. That's 2 out of 6 signings.
That's it.
That's 2 out of 6 signings that improve the starting 11. Gittins is not improving the starting 11 right now. Jarell Hato at this point in time, it's 1 game. He needs time. It's going to take time. But right now, he's not improving the starting 11. Buonanotte, it'll take time. It's 1 game. I saw, there's something there to work with potentially. But he's not improving the starting 11 right now. And this is the problem. And this is what I've spoken about so many times before is when you constantly just sign project players.
Can I just quickly respond to that and say I totally agree with what you're saying there. And like when you say that those teams have better squad depth, they have better squad depth because the players that they have added or brought over the summer window are just adding to the quality players that they've already had there that have spent now like 3, 4, 5 years even. Like we still don't have those players that are actually coming into this season having played 3, 4, 5 years. Do you know what I mean?
We do though. This is Cole Palmer's 3rd season.
Yeah.
This is
yes. Like, who else in the front line? In the front line, who else?
Sure, but this is my point though. Like when you sign 5 players in one part of the pitch, 5 in, 4 out, you're asking for problems. It's going to take a lot of time to reintegrate. You've literally changed the entire front line in terms of starting pretty much, and in terms of the rotation options from the bench as well. And that's all right, great, and you're freshening up, whatever. But when you do that, you're taking a massive risk, and it's not going to click straight away. We're lucky that we've got Palmer, and we're lucky that Pedro's hit the ground running, and Esteval looks pretty good. Neto as well. But the others, Garnacho is going to take a bit of time. But I saw more from Garnacho in 10 minutes than I've seen from Gittins all season.
I think Garnacho looked really good on the ball. But, I mean, looking at the goal we conceded, that was, he was definitely a culprit.
Sure. From that note, agreed he should be picking his man up. But also, how are there 4 players marking 1 Brentford man from the throw-in and they all lose the duel? That's unacceptable as well. It's 2 things. The first part, 4 players on 1 man. You can't lose that. And obviously the second part, Garnacho is let his man run off him.
Yeah, they're all bunched up, aren't they?
It's as well. I think what he did for Brentford is, there's no natural leader in the wide zones like Reece James and Cucurella. There's no defensive organizer as well. So since both Reece James and Cucurella, they're both aggressive and defending the dead balls, and without them, like nobody really attacked the first ball when Brenford scored from the long throw, and then basically it's just like it's so chaotic in the box. Like there's no communication or nothing. Like if anything, Sanchez should have gone tell this player to get the ball, or maybe like I'll get the ball.
I mean, maybe Bernardo Cueva is part of this as well because he's obviously organising the defence. He would have been 100% aware of the threat from long throws, and long throws is like the modern corner in a lot of ways. We're taking we're sort of going back 15 years or whatever it is. When was it Rory Delap? When he was taking those long throws for Stoke.
Maybe he could have been at the Britannia last night. It was red and white kit, long throw-ins. He could have been there.
I honestly think that Brentford is basically like the new Stoke for Chelsea. For whatever reason, we just always struggle. We always struggle against them. Not even just the away games. Like we've struggled at home against Brentford. I know we beat them last season, but prior to that, I think we lost under Poch.
Yeah, a couple of 2-0 losses back to back. And we lost under. Remember that Tuchel one? We smashed 4-1.
We only won under Tuchel twice, and even then, in their club's history, it goes way back to 88 years ago when they beat us in the League Division 1.
It's mad, honestly. I mean, Brentford's a great away day. It's easy to get to. It's it's a pretty great. It's a decent away end.
It's Bogey. It's one of the Bogey grounds. Like we used to talk about the Bogey grounds in the league. Like even back in the day when we had the original Big Four, I would consider myself that Spurs is a Bogey ground. Even Middlesbrough, Goodison Park's up there. St James's Park, I said that, and probably Man City as well.
Man City's we've struggled there. I mean, we've had some good times at Man City, to be fair, but not recently. Recently, it's been pretty tough. All right, let's zone in on some of the issues then that we can rectify in this squad, because we're looking at the goals that we've conceded. In terms of the long throw. I mean, Garnacho for me is the player that will be singled out. Although I agree with what you're saying, Charlie. I do think that having four defenders bunched together, I mean, that doesn't really work too. I think that was tossing Chalobah and Caicedo. I can't remember who else.
Wasn't there about 3 Brentford players in the box anyway?
I mean, the truth is this: we're going to see Chelsea have some tough moments. I'm not panicking, just like I wasn't panicking after the draw against Crystal Palace. I still go out of this game, and I know a lot of people, don't necessarily want me to say this, especially if you liked what I had to say last season and you were one of those fans. My perspective has changed. There's a way to win, and there's a way to lose, and there's a way to play a match. I leave this match against Brentford feeling like Chelsea deserved a win. That's the way I look at it. Palmer scored his chance. We obviously had a great goal from Caicedo, but Palmer probably should have scored another goal, if we're being totally honest. He had another great chance. And we created enough. Even if we had have conceded another goal, we could have won that game 3-2 because we would have been 3-1 up in the first place. So as much as you don't want to neglect the defensive side of the game and basically just rely on scoring loads of goals like we did under Pochettino, I do feel an element of that. And this also sort of contradicts what a lot of fans would think in terms of the performance, because I know it was slow at times. I appreciate that. But it is going to be slow when you're playing against Brentford and other teams who make life tough for you. That's just the way it is. When you get so many players behind the ball, you've got to break it down. So you kind of have to get used to this if you're a top 6 team these days. I mean, that's just how every team plays against Chelsea, against Man City, against Liverpool. When you have the ball and you've got to do something with it. So I leave this game feeling optimistic for Bayern. I generally think we can get something out of this Bayern game. Like we did not expect to win the Club World Cup. I was in Atlanta. It was shy. I was there in America. It was rubbish at times, but we got better and better. So I know this team's capable of pulling something out of the bag. And whether we beat Bayern or draw or whatever, I don't think that this result will affect our performance out there, because Bayern will come out to play. And I think that Chelsea play their best football against teams that actually want to come out and press high, etc. And then obviously United as well. So there's my little dab of positivity for the podcast. But we still got to address the issues, guys. I mean, what do we change going into Bayern and potentially United as well? I'll start with you, Nina.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say I agree with Alex, your point. And I think we have to take into account how physical the sides we've played in the opening Premier League games have been. You talk about Palace, Fulham, West Ham, Brentford yesterday. There's a lot of physicality in these sides, and there was a lot of stop starts. And that's another really difficult thing to deal with, like games that are physically demanding like that. A lot of our players are a lot smaller. They're, outweighed in a lot of qualities like height, strength, etc. So that's also really difficult to deal with. And I think we have, on the most part, coped quite well. So that also gives me a little bit of, again, optimism. You're gonna struggle. Moving into the Bayern Munich game on Wednesday, I also feel more optimistic. I don't really think this game makes me worry, or I've got some sort of hesitation about the performance we can put on. I think that will be quite an open game, which again, we're always up for because Chelsea seems to thrive on that. And, Bayern Munich are not going to sit back at us. We're at their grounds. They're going to be well up for this one. So, yeah, I think it's going to be hopefully a full strength squad, and some of the better performances that we saw over the last stages of the Club World Cup. I imagine something like that against Bayern. I don't know if that's, naive or a little bit stupid, but in my head, when I'm thinking about that game on Wednesday, that is a performance I'm imagining and anticipating. I have high expectations for this team. Some of the worrying factors I've seen over the last sort of 4 games, regardless of games we've won, I'm happy to put aside, because I think, our ceiling is really high. Let's not forget that full strength squad that we saw, like even the final, dismantle PSG, that side hasn't died. It's very much still there. There's a lot of players that have had a tough time, recovering, coming back. Some of these players have picked up little niggles there, but you talk about having Reece James fully fit. You talk about Cole Palmer being there and available from the get-go. You talk about Cucurella, being in his best form, his best self. Those are players that, that they are the game changers, or they are our backbone. Caicedo in midfield, hopefully a better Enzo Fernandez working alongside there with him. That is a team that I'm looking at, and I think, yeah, you can totally take on a Bayern Munich. And I don't think that's, bizarre to say. I think the new format that we are, obviously our first time being in the new league format, allows for us to make some mistakes and learn more about ourselves as well, because you're not going to win all the games, but you can still progress through to the knockout stages. So I'm just more excited to be back in the Champions League, and I think these players thrive on that as well. So there's going to be a lot more emotion coming into this one as well, and that always kind of makes you a better player already, just walking into a game that you're excited to play in. So yeah, I'm feeling positive. We've got Esteval there available for some minutes as well to come on, but these players are going to be raring to go, so I'm really not feeling worried about Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to come back to bite me, but I feel pretty good about it.
How good was Caicedo yesterday? He was
exceptional. I've run out of words to describe him. He is our talisman.
I was speaking with Jacob after, and Jacob was saying that he thinks Caicedo will become one of Chelsea's greatest players ever, and definitely in the conversation to overtake Kante. And I think it's a very fair point. In terms of like modern midfielders, me personally, when we had to pick between Rice and Caicedo, honestly, at the time, I'll hold my hands up and I'll say I quite like Declan Rice. But that's not to say I didn't like Caicedo, but I just
should have had them both.
Mate, I would have taken them both. I would have taken them both. But listen, I think both of those players have shown their worth. The money that Chelsea paid and Arsenal paid. But I would argue that with Caicedo, you have whatever you get from Rice. I mean, he's obviously a very good free kick taker, probably a little bit more effective on the ball at times, but Caicedo, in terms of winning those 50-50s, covering ground, basically running the midfield on his own, I couldn't wish for a better midfielder if I tried. And I don't think there's a team in world football that doesn't start Moises Caicedo. I don't think there's a team in world football. I also want to ask this as well, guys. What do you take of Fernandez performance in the midfield, because I don't think he had a bad game. I don't think he had a bad game, but I almost feel like, I'm saying this a number of times now. He's been overshadowed by Caicedo so much, and I don't feel like we're talking about Enzo as much as we should really. I mean, he was involved in the goal because he put a ball in, and then Pedro got the assist. But I mean, are we happy with Fernandez's performance?
I thought it was good.
It was good yesterday. My worry is that his position was too high, especially in the first goal. He drifted forward a lot because he wants to play that 8/10, and then as a result, you're leaving Caicedo exposed behind. And when Chelsea lost the ball, he was often caught ahead of play. So literally, even yesterday, Brentford skipped past the midfield into direct duels with Tosin. So I don't think it wasn't that bad, but it was like, okay, not as good as everyone thinks. But probably when the link up when Palmer came on, I think Enzo had a partner who understood that his passing lanes. That's what, for me, that's why really that Palmer really that important yesterday. I don't know why he didn't start in the beginning, but if he's going to take the risk, he might as well take the risk for this game for Palmer.
Okay.
Just go 1-0 up or 2-0 up, and then maybe have some sort of a 1-0 experiment in the last 30 minutes of the second half.
Yeah. Charlie?
No, what? Or an Enzo?
Yeah.
No, mate, I thought it was good. Look, first half, I think the whole team struggled. But I thought, obviously, second half, he was much better. He worked very hard off the ball. On the ball, he kept possession well. Good choice of passes, right choice of passing. Gets forward well. Yeah, but I thought this wasn't like, oh my God, wow, but this was a solid, good performance from him. I'm happy with what I'm seeing from Enzo Fernandez this season. And, you can talk about obviously being overshadowed or whatever. I don't really think so. I don't think we need to be really comparing, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. I'm not saying you are, but I don't think we need to be comparing them, Enzo's doing a good job for the team. Caicedo's doing a great job for the team. They're both contributing to the team, and that's ultimately the thing that matters the most. But I thought Enzo Fernandez was pretty good yesterday.
I don't know why it made me think of it, but I just feel like over the past few podcasts, like Fernandez has been one of the last players we've spoken about at times, and I don't know. I'm so impressed with Caicedo that I'm just not really thinking about Fernandez. Maybe that's a good thing as well, like from Fernandez's point of view, because if we were talking about him, it's because he either did something incredible or really bad. So maybe it's just because he's been solid, sort of operating under the radar. But yeah, I don't know. I was half expecting to see Andre Santos in this game, to be honest with you, because again, like Bayern Munich coming up, I thought maybe we'd rest some players. But that was more. I would quite like to see Santos. Not that I don't want to watch Enzo, but I'm not surprised that he did start in the midfield with Caicedo. I mean, are we just keeping everything the same in that midfield? Are we making any changes? Because I heard Maresca coming out talking about Santos, basically saying he sees him as a 6, which I found quite interesting because I thought that Santos was capable of going a little bit further up the pitch, and that kind of says to me, well, if you're going to play Santos, does that mean he's going to cover for Caicedo at times, and then you're going to have Enzo on the other side?
What the question that he was asked, right, with Asugu out, who's going to provide cover for Santos? Not for Santos, for Caicedo, and he's saying that Andre could play as a 6 if needed. Lavia obviously could play there as well and whatnot. So I don't think he was specifically saying he sees Santos as a 6. I think what he was saying is that he could be an option there as and when if Caicedo gets if we need to rest him or whatever.
So just at this moment in time, like that would be a
I think there's more. There's more to Andre Santos than just being like a number 8, as it were. He can very much do that defensive side of the game. He can very much be a box-to-box midfield player as well. I don't think he's just purely an alternative to Enzo Fernandez. I think there is a complete all-round midfield player there.
I would love to see him play more minutes, but I'm sure we will. I mean, that December period.
I think Santos starts would make sense because against a physical, scrappy teams like Brentford, Santos fits the profile perfectly. Like he could allow Enzo to rest, or maybe play further up the pitch without exposing the back line, or even as a sub yesterday, he should have come on, because that's the thing that Chelsea surely lack when protecting that 2-1 lead.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of the midfield, I don't think there's any complaints, which is good. All right, so that's one thing we don't have to worry about.
We do need Lavia back quickly, though.
Mate, I would have loved to have seen Asuga as well. I'm gutted. That seems like it's quite a long-term injury.
12 weeks, probably. We won't. I don't think we'll see him this year.
Oh, 12 weeks.
Yeah,
we'll see him this year if it's 12 weeks.
No,
you mean 2025?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't mean this season. I mean 2021.
Well, I think maybe we should see Asuga by the FA Cup in January.
Well, I hope we can. I think, like, in terms of profile, I think it was a great signing. Yeah, ticks all the boxes for me. But you can't really rate a player until you see them playing on the pitch. Nina, talk to me about our wingers. Talk to me about Garnacho, Gittins. Obviously, I know Charlie's touched on them, slightly earlier in the podcast. But me personally, I don't have an issue with Gittins. I don't have an issue with Garnacho, but I would say I am a slight fan of Garnacho. Do you feel like these are players that, I don't really know how else to say, to put it bluntly, they've been given a lot of opportunities, or they will be given a lot of opportunities, and they're just not good enough to necessarily get what Chelsea want in terms of GA?
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, the whole package.
Gittins, yeah, it's really hard. Not even just going off yesterday, but Gittins to me just looks like another winger that's going to be hot and cold. He's going to have his good days and bad days, and I just think you're basically going off, I don't know, in my opinion, what Noni Madueke was when he came in, what Mikhailo Mudryk was when he came in. Just these players that are going to have good games and make you believe that they could be something long term, and then they're going to have their bad days. And it's just like the same thing. And like when we were watching the game yesterday, my brother said it's really annoying that we just only bought wingers that are quite average, have good sort of moments, but aren't really like goal scoring wingers or like killer wingers that are going to win you games or are going to be kind of consistent at least over 5 games, right? Because a lot of the time our wingers, even last season, bar Cole Palmer, we don't really count him as a winger because he played in the 10, but they didn't really have those consistent games where they could provide for you all the time. Pedro Neto, yeah, but he's not a goal scoring winger either, is he? Maybe he could be this season. I don't know. He's great. I love Pedro Neto. Great service, great crosser. Hopefully has a little bit more DNA this season. But yeah, it just feels like, you look at Garnacho, you look at Gittins, and you just feel like they don't really strike me as players that come in and upgrade us to a point where they take us to another level. And I think that's a problem because it's just like another cool dribble down the flank, another cool cross maybe in, another like nice backheel pass that leads maybe into a good chance. But that's where it kind of goes. And I just worry because, again, if you're comparing us to like Arsenal, Liverpool, City and that department with their wingers and what they can provide, I think it's quite different. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and it's just like a shame because I don't really want us to go through a whole season where we're waiting on wingers to come out their shell and to provide moments of brilliance and then just go straight back into like a bad spell or something. I just want to see more consistency and more balance from our wingers. Maybe Esteval is going to be a big key to that because I can kind of imagine Esteval, like regardless of the fact that he's probably the youngest and he's just arrived, out of all them wingers, I think Esteval's probably the one that could be most consistent for us in terms of, keeping up that same talent he shows game in, game out, because we've already seen it. But yeah, Gittins doesn't excite me. I said it when we signed him. I just think, great, you're an addition, but you're not really an upgrade on something we already have. And I think that's where Chelsea really needed to kind of step up on that, because it's been a recruitment pattern where we've brought in wingers that are exciting, they have something to show, but that's just where it stops. And we moved on Noni Madueke this summer. Did we really upgrade in terms of pure comparison to qualities like dribbling, scoring, taking on your man?
Madueke weren't a left winger though. That's the thing.
I mean, if you're looking for a replacement for Madueke, then I would say Esteval, and I'd say that is an improvement.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying in terms of an actual just actual talent, just actual pure profile, not really.
Oh, so in terms of what you're saying is is Garnacho and Gittins any better than having Sancho and Mudryk?
Basically, yeah, exactly. Sancho is actually a brilliant example. I forgot about him, but pretty much, yeah, like that's just how I see it. You're almost like signing equivalents, players that are going to have you give you good games. But Gittins isn't a polished player. We all know this. Gittins is someone that's still like a work in progress player, potential. Tick, tick, tick. Chelsea love that. But again, we're not signing polished players that have, really like ready to come and kickstart and score you baggy goals and be like a maybe even just a 15 goal a season scoring winger.
I think like it's important, obviously, not to write players off too quickly. We've seen it with,
of course not.
well, I'm not saying you are, but just in general, like we've seen it with Cucurella, we've seen it with Caicedo at the start. When he first joined, he wasn't great for the first few months. As I said, Cucurella, there's countless other examples that we've seen. And look, I'm not by no means saying that Gittins is crap. He's not. There's clearly ability there. There's clearly talent there. The problem is that this is someone who in the Bundesliga wasn't really doing anything special anyway. You look at...
I mean, he was up to January.
No, but I'm talking like if you compare Gittins to what Jadon Sancho did in the Bundesliga, to what Nkunku did, to what other players, what Kai Havertz was doing in the Bundesliga when we signed them, Gittins achieved nowhere near the level of success that other players have in the Bundesliga before we signed them. And so I look at him and I think there's ability there. But right now, I know it's only 4 games. I've seen nothing so far to suggest that there's anything there at this point in time. I'm not saying there won't be, and it takes different players different time to adapt. But I'm looking at Gittins and I'm just thinking, what do you bring to this team? What are you offering? And he just looks completely lost, mate. He just looks completely... It just doesn't look on the same wavelength as anyone. You look at Garnacho yesterday and then in those 10 minutes he came on, he actually looked really promising, attack-minded, from an attacking perspective.
Yes. And
you compare that with what we saw from Gittins for 55 minutes. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And this is gonna be part of the problem when you sign players who are young, inexperienced, don't have an awful lot of football behind. I know he's played a lot of games with Dortmund. I know he's played in the Champions League and stuff, but still, this is someone who's come in. And Esteval looks way more ready for Premier League football than him. Garnacho's more ready for Premier League football than him. Even, dare I say it, mate, even Tyreek George played better than him yesterday. This is what I'm saying. So you're looking at Gittins, right? And arguably, in the winger situation, he's behind Neto. He's behind Garnacho. Correct. He's behind Esteval. He's behind Pedro Neto. Mm-hmm. If you look at him across the wingers we've got, I'd even rather play Cole Palmer wide than him. But in actual wingers, you're looking at Gittins, he's pretty much bottom of the list now in terms of wide players for us.
Bottom of the barrel.
He's an option rather than a regular starter.
But the problem is though, when you bring in Gittins and Garnacho, right, 2 players, 20 and 21, like that's you're going to have inconsistencies, you're going to have issues. That's why, I would have rather have had signed Garnacho, fine, if that was the one you were dead set on. Bring him in, because at least he's shown he can do it in the Premier League. He got over 20 GA for United last season in all comps. That's not bad. He's shown he can play at this level. And then you maybe should have brought in maybe a different profile. I'm not saying it had to be Xavi Simons, but you look at Xavi Simons or whoever it might have been. That for me would have been better. I just think the left wing options, they're not great.
I'm with you on Gittins, Charlie. I'm with you. For me, he's a good signing long term. He's a good long term signing, with the view that in a couple of years he can develop into a very promising player. The issue that I have with Gittins is it's actually quite hard to flip him because we spent so much on the fee. So if that's Chelsea's priority, then you better flip him for 100 million, for it to be worth anything. Otherwise, what was the point of spending 50 odd million on him? But what I would then say is that they've probably done that because maybe they do have the view that he can have a long-term future at Chelsea, because there are a lot of players that are still signed to play for us.
Well, he's not been signed for now. Well, he has been signed for now, but I'm
Do
sure
you
they're
understand what I mean,
expecting.
though, Charlie?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure they're expecting contributions, but I agree with you. This is
let's look
probably
at Vega.
they're playing
Let's
long
look at
game. They're
Vega.
playing long
Right.
game.
Vega was signed for such a cheap fee, and it was like, if he didn't perform, you'd get your money back. If he performed, you'd make a huge profit. Whatever Vega did, you knew financially that you were going to be in a comfortable position. And what you start getting dragged into is the territory of, it is politics, isn't it, really? Because Maresca's not choosing this guy, and he's basically being forced to integrate him into the squad, whether he likes him, whether he doesn't, whether he performs, or whether he doesn't, because of the amount of money that we've invested. So, this is one of those pressure signings, which actually, if it doesn't go right, you're stuck, because you won't get your money back. You will not get your money back. And that's the issue that we have with Gittins. But again, like, I don't want to sit here and act like I'm really stressed about it, because it's early days. I still feel pretty good about the season. Like I've said, I don't think we're going to win the league. I'd like to see us challenge. I think we can challenge more so. And by the way, I'd rather have these results early on and get better as the season goes on.
But also, this is our best start to a season since 21-22.
Is it?
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it is. Best start to a season since 21-22. One thing I wanted to say, right, was anyone else surprised that Mark Guiu weren't in the squad at all? I'm not saying I'm I'm not saying I'm a huge Guiu fan, but
I heard he was a little bit injured now.
No, he wasn't. Not at all. No, Maresca said afterwards it was a choice. He said he wanted to give George confidence. And like Mark Guiu not even in the squad is kind of weird. When you look at, lack of options at number 9, given Delap's injury, you bring Maresca said on Friday before the game that Guiu was like his only number 9. And then you don't even have him in the squad. It just felt a little bit strange. And then at half time, you're putting Tyreek George up front, who was a player you didn't even want and was about to join Fulham, but that move fell through at the last minute. So that kind of all seems a little bit weird. I wonder if that was I mean, I'll be looking too much into it. I wonder if that was a bit of a message to the board where it's like, look, I needed a striker. You should have got me one, or whatever. But I found that a little bit odd that he wasn't in the squad at all, considering the complete lack of number 9s in the squad.
I don't think that Maresca necessarily wanted to get rid of George. I just think that they wanted to sell him for profit. I honestly don't think Maresca is really involved.
There's no space for him.
But yeah, it was surprising. It was surprising. I mean, I would hope that we would see Mark Guiu against Lincoln, but obviously he's played in the cup.
Probably he would play that game, but
so maybe
he's
we'll see him in the FA Cup at some point.
I don't think cup tie's an issue here.
No, it is, bro. Carabao Cup, he's cup tied. He played for Sunderland in the second round. He can't play.
Yeah. So the Carabao Cup's a write-off, but the FA Cup is still there, and we will have games in the Champions League that I'd like to see Mark Guiu feature.
Starting Wednesday night.
I don't know about that.
You
we might have to.
Wait! You expecting me to go up there, up in the gods, to see Mark Guiu playing in the
Bro, you need to strap in for the ride. You're either going to Munich and you're seeing Mark Guiu up front or Tyreek George running 9.
God forbid me, you find me in the Concourse eating some
What's going to happen though? Because Joao Pedro will be up top. So
but he's not. But there's either one of them is still going to have to play. This is the point. Pedro's not going to play 90 minutes every game.
No, who have we got after that? We've got United after that, right?
United after that, and then Lincoln. And then it's Brighton home, I think.
Right. Well, we got to rest players for Lincoln then.
Was it just me, or when Cole Palmer came on and scored, I just wanted Maresca to sub him off 10 minutes afterwards because I was like, "That's it, let him rest, protect him at all costs." I was so nervous.
I was surprised that he even featured. Like, well done for the recovery. It was a good recovery from Palmer, but he should have scored 2. Like, as much as I was really glad to see him score a goal, he should have scored 2. He should have. You could argue he should have scored 3 because we had that chance right at the end where Garnacho whipped the ball and it went over the post.
I think that it's the pressure right at the end. Get onto him.
Well, I think it was a tough chance. He didn't hit it clean.
Really quickly, yeah.
But for me, I just feel like Yeah, we need other players to step up. Maresca's basically said he doesn't want to lean on one player. I don't have a problem with that.
You need a game changer in your team. Like even yesterday.
Well, we have game changers. You know, we have game changers. But
we saw the game changers because they come on at half time. James, Cucurella, and then obviously Palmer come on. Those three subs changed the game.
Cucurella looked really solid when he came on. I was impressed with him.
Does anyone still find it weird? I don't know, it's weird, but Reece James has started one game out of 4 in the Premier League this season.
Yes.
No, I don't find it weird. I don't find it weird because he played for England and he's been overlapping.
I understand that, but like just in generally speaking, like because there would have been a time where the idea of Reece James being fit and not started was like outrageous.
I'll tell you why. Charlie.
Now it's kind of just like I know he can't play every game, but now it's almost like, oh, Reece is not starting, and no one really says anything about it.
My theory is very simple, and I think this is. I would like to think this is what Maresca's thinking. Although starting for Fana completely fucks up the argument, but I'm going to make it anyway. If you overlap, you start Gusto. If you don't overlap and you invert, you start James. Yeah, that is like black and white. And I just think that Gusto's good enough to start ahead of James if he's going to overlap. Like, I'm not saying he's better, but in terms of overlapping, he's so good at that one aspect that you can justify it. And just going back to the point we were making as well, guys, about can we play, we can't afford to keep playing 90 minutes, João Pedro, etc., etc. I personally think we can get away with giving them a lot of minutes against Bayern and Man United, and then you rest them against Lincoln. You give them.
I agree.
So I'm not sitting here saying we need to rotate everyone. I would play a full strength team against both. I'd play full strength against Bayern, and I'd play full strength against United. The only tweak that I would make, I would still probably be tempted to start Gusto ahead of James against Bayern. Because I would want James against United. They're going to sit a bit deeper, and I just think that. I think we'll probably benefit from having James at Old Trafford. So, like, if there's one call I'd make off the top, I'd probably say that. But I'd start Cucurella. I'd have the same. Maybe Fofana will play. We'll see what happens there. But I mean, I probably wouldn't change that much in terms of the back line either.
I would start Chalobah and toss in the back and put maybe Garnacho on the white and then Neto on the white, and then play Palmer as a central 10, then João Pedro up top.
Yes.
Same goes to United, and then maybe you only leave like one leadership in a hostile place like Lincoln. At least like you need someone. One of the leaders should be there, like Cucurella or maybe Reece James should be there.
Yeah, I would agree that I would start Garnacho on the left, Neto on the right, Palmer in the 10, and João Pedro up front for Bayern front 4. I think that's the best front 4 available right now. Esteval, he's been ill. I wouldn't be surprised if he started, but I think he'll probably be on the bench, and I think that maybe makes a bit more sense. I think Garnacho should start on the left-hand side. Remember, there's no Buonanotte in this game because obviously he's not in the squad. That, for me, is our best front 4 available kind of right now in terms of fitness levels and stuff.
I think what I can see from for the Lincoln game is that I can see Esteval starting on the right and then Buonanotte as a 10.
Gittins will have to play against Lincoln. Surely needs some confidence.
yeah, you're right.
Then he played George as number 9.
But to be fair, the amount of times, obviously, with the substitutions, our like sort of front 4 changed about 3 times in that game, as in the formation and how we were set up.
Yeah,
because the changes. I think actually that could probably be maybe a weapon we use moving forward once all of those obviously are fit and we can interchange really smoothly. And when João Pedro is kind of switching, he's going in behind. Tyrick George came on, he played behind him. Then again, when Cole Palmer came on, he came behind João Pedro. So that's maybe like a nice dynamic we could potentially play on once everyone is fully fit and understanding their role. I thought that could be quite a nice thing that maybe surprises opponents. But yeah, just in terms of like who you start and how you kind of manage that week with Bayern midweek and United at the weekend, we're not in the Conference League anymore. We're not going to have an A team and a B team. This full strength team needs to pull their socks up, and they're going to have to play against Bayern and hopefully against Manchester United. I know it's different.
Tell them, Nina.
we have. Well, it's true, and I know it's maybe different circumstances. You could probably bring in the fact that a few of these players need to be kind of managed a little bit better. But once they are fully fit, this has to be a regular. You know, you can't afford to pick and choose and tweak and whatnot. Your best starting 11 starts on Wednesday, and you might make a change or two, but your best team starts the weekend as well, because the Premier League is also a massive priority for us this season. It's probably, for me personally, I want us to do, I mean, all of us want to win a Premier League title sooner rather than later, but just to be in the conversation, just to be consistent over the course of the season. I love the Champions League. We've won it, but I really just want us to do well in the Premier League as well. So, you know, you're going to have to. You're going to have to play on Wednesday. You're going to have to play on the weekend as well. I think that's just how it is. Obviously, we'll make substitutes. I don't know. It's interesting, though, because I feel like a part of me, if I'm in Maresca's head, I feel like he'd start Gittins again on Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe familiarity, a Bundesliga team. I don't know. But maybe he's just going to want to bring something more out of him. But if I'm in Maresca's head, for me, I think he's going to start Gittins on Wednesday. I don't know why. But
he did score against Bayern last season. So
I slightly disagree, because I feel like at the moment you want to see us to be consistent in the league. I have fun with that, but the problem is that at the moment we're looking like a cup team. So
we've been a cup team for years.
Yeah, but we want to avoid that, Father. We want to go away from that.
I mean, in fairness, as long as we keep winning the cups, I haven't really got a massive problem.
Yeah,
bro, we need a league. We need a league.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, but I mean, would I prioritise finishing second in the league, or winning cups and finishing fourth?
I'd rather
win trophies.
No, of course you want trophies and that, but no, I think if I was right,
we're not going to win the league. We're not.
No, but I'm not saying we're going to win this season, but we need to get to a point where we're winning the league again. Before you know it, it's going to be 10 years since we won the league.
I know, it's crazy, man. You know, last time Chelsea won the league,
we laugh at Arsenal 20 plus years or whatever, United, however many years it is. If we're not careful, that could be us. You know,
what were you doing when Chelsea won the league? What were you doing? 2017?
Yeah,
mate. I lived abroad. I didn't even live in the country, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the point, though. But the point is, though, like when it becomes like that, it'll be 10 years, and then you're sort of thinking, well, when is it happening?
Now I'm really curious as to what you did 10 years ago.
I literally just think of this. I think I had just started secondary school, or I was
school.
I think I was in year 8. So yeah.
Yeah,
how mad is that? University dorms at Freshers Week.
Yeah, but how mad is that? how mad is that though? Like there is nearly 10. Like end of next season, it will be 10 years.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And you know, it doesn't feel like 10 years. It doesn't feel like that. I feel like it wasn't long ago. Like I still have a close affiliation.
I'll be honest, mate. It feels like a while since. It feels like a while since we challenged for a title. Let's be real.
That's true. Hey, listen. I mean, we're building a long-term project, and hopefully, just hoping year on year we do get better. Like we'll get closer to winning it. So, I mean, we challenge up until January. Can we challenge up until March? And then hopefully next season, just go and win the whole thing. But if Liverpool keeps spending money on players like Isak, I think it's going to be difficult. I mean, City. I mean, do you think City are in the conversation as well? Because I feel confident that we'll finish above City. I think we can do that.
I mean, you can never rule City fully out, but if you're just basing it on what we've seen from the first 3 games, I don't look at them as a team that's going to really seriously look like they could win a title.
I think it's going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and then City.
I would count out Arsenal.
Count them out.
No, but you still have them second, probably though.
Maybe we fight with Arsenal for the second place.
Well, yeah, maybe. Right. Maybe it's possible.
I don't know, guys. If Arsenal continue as they are and they don't pick up like really, really key injuries throughout, if they can get their consistency on clock, then
I'm not really that impressed with Arsenal yesterday, even though it's
What about Madueke? Apparently he was good, but then I checked the Premier League app and no goals, no assists. So like, what did this guy do that was so special?
No, he played well, right? But it's nothing that we've not seen him do at Chelsea.
Right. So he's just being overhyped.
You know what? It's just that like Arsenal fans have been doing this for more than 5 years now. They've been doing this like, oh, thank you, Chelsea gimmick. It's like Willian, David Luiz. How many more?
I don't think
Havertz.
they thanked us for Willian. I really don't think they thanked us for that one. He was shy at Arsenal. He was rubbish. But no, I understand your point, Father. I understand.
Like they've been doing this. Like, oh, thank you, Chelsea, for this player. Behave.
Hey, well, listen. I feel like we've touched on everything. Maybe we could have spoken slightly more about João Pedro, but I mean, listen, he got an assist. Fair play to him. Listen, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. But listen, big up to all three of you. Thanks so much for coming on, Father, Charlie, Nina. Good to see you all. I'm going to see you in Munich, Father. Are you going? I'm going to let you know about Baku, Charlie. That's
mate. Let me know. We'll when is it? November.
In Baku as well. I'm going to Baku.
How are you doing, Baku?
Come on, lads, mate. I'm flying through Istanbul.
I'm flying to Istanbul as well.
Well, I thought you were going to Hungary.
And on the way back, it's going to be Hungary. The way back, it's Hungary.
I'm going to Istanbul both ways, but flying from Heathrow. I've got Turkish Airlines loyalty points. So
You're definitely going to be in the lounge, Father.
No, mate. Of course he's in the lounge.
You know about that? How do you know?
Mate, he's got some gold card or whatever it is, lounge card.
How do you know about that? Yeah, I'm going to be in the lounge, to be fair. But
yeah, he does the VIP. That's Father.
Is there any +1s? Is there +2 for the lounge?
Yeah, you can actually. Yeah,
you +2. Oh, mate, we're in. Alex, we're in, mate. Me and you in the lounge. With Father. We're sorted.
There we go. All right. Well, listen, big up to everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will catch up very, very soon.